All right, this should be the last video in our Introduction to Excel. We're starting on page 6, example 7. We're going to learn about how to use absolute cell references. So I'm going to just jump right into example 7 here to learn about what these absolute cell references mean. It says here in part A of example 7 that we're going to just create some quick labels. I'm going to put an M here in cell A1 and a B in cell B1. And we know M represents the slope if we're talking about f of x equals mx plus b, and B represents the y-intercept. Now in part B, it says create an input-output table for the function f of x when m is 2 and b is -5. So we're saying m is going to be 2. I'll put that right underneath that label. B is -5. I'll put that under that label. Okay, I'm going to create an input-output table where we have input x, we output f of x equals mx plus b. And it says to create this input-output table from -5 up to 5. So I start my x at -5, and the next cell down will be that cell plus 1. So the cell above it plus 1. And I drag it down. I drag it down until x equals 5. So now I need to create a formula here in cell E4 that will take mx plus b, where it draws the x value from the cell to the left, and I'm going to have it draw the value of m, the slope, from cell A2, and I'm going to have it draw the value of b, the y-intercept, from cell B2. So we're writing a formula. I start with an equal sign. So it will equal cell A2 times the x value cell plus the b. Now, when I drag this formula down, we know from previous experience when you drag a formula down, it continues the pattern. So I'm going to do it this time, which is going to be wrong, and we'll come back and fix it. When I drag it down, let's go look at what it did. The formula that appears in the next cell down, it's taking cell A3, which is below this value of m, and it's taking B3 for the value of the y-intercept, which again is below the value of B. In fact, I want this value of m here to be taken from cell A2, and I want this value of B to be taken from B2. So instead, I'm going to delete that out. Instead of dragging this formula down as written, let's go back to the original formula. I want, when I drag the formula down, for the x values to be dragged down with the formula. I want the cells to reference x from the cell to the left. However, I want this value of m and I want this value of b to be constantly picking from cell A2 and cell B2. I don't want that to change. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to highlight cell A2, so highlighting this A2, and I hit the F4 function key. Notice when I hit that F4 function key, it inserts a $sign in front of the A and a $sign in front of the 2. This is an absolute cell reference. When I drag the formula down, it will stay A2. I'm going to do the same thing for B2. I highlight it and I hit F4. All right, now when I drag down the formula this time, let's go ahead and look at it. Again, when I go down to the next cell, it's still referencing cell A2 and cell B2 for the slope and the y-intercept, but the x value cell was dragged down. Next cell down, same thing. It's still A2 and it's still B2. Those are constants, but it's referencing the x value from the cell to the left. So that's what we wanted to happen. All right, it says in part C, create an input-output table for f of x when m is -3 and b is 15. And again, we're going to just go back to what I've already created. I'm going to create an input-output table from x is -5 to x is +5, but the only thing I'm changing is the value of the slope the value of the y-intercept. Instead of going through and rewriting the formula entirely, all I need to do is come over here to cell A2 and change the slope to -3 and change the y-intercept to 15. It automatically updates the table because the formula we wrote is automatically drawing the slope value from cell A2 and drawing the y-intercept value from cell B2. Whatever you want to put in there for the slope and the y-intercept, it will automatically update your table. Let's try it again. Let's jump down to problem 8. Again, in problem 8 it says we're going to be dealing with this function f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c, which is your general quadratic function. I'm going to have a value for a value for b, a value for c. These are my labels. Down here in row 2, I'll actually put the values of a, b, and c when we get them. In part B, it says we're going to create an input-output table from -5 up to 5. So I have x as my input, and I have f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c as the output. I create my x values from -5 up to +5. So -5 up to +5. All right, and now I'm going to write a formula here, and mine is in cell C5. And I'm going to take the A value from cell A2, the B value from cell B2, and the C value from cell C2. Now in part B of our problem, it said to go ahead and use A equals -2, B is 3, C is 5. Go ahead and put those in. And now when I reference those cells, I want to hold them constant, whereas I want the X value cells to be able to drag down when I drag my formula down. All right, so my cursor's in cell C5. I type an equal sign. It will equal A, which is cell A2. Right here, right now, I'm going to hit F4. It holds that cell constant. So the value of A will be held constant to be -2 times the X value squared, so B5 squared, plus B is from cell B2. So I click cell B2 and then I hit F4. It holds cell B2 constant times X, which is from cell B5, plus C. That's cell C2. I want to hold that constant, so F4. All right, now when I drag this down and I double check the cell below it, I see again it's taking the A from cell A2, still constant, it's taking B from cell B2, it's taking C from cell C2, but the X value has been dragged down. The X value now is being taken from the cell to the left.